Jamila, can you hear me? Jamila, can you hear me? Hey, buddy, I'm back good up. Okay, it's fine, brother. Is the camera people down there? I wonder. Okay, let me just phone them. Oh, okay, cool. All right, so buddy.
I knew. Good morning, honorable members and officials of parliament. Let's start our meeting. You are most welcome from constituency work, and I trust that it went very well. We've received apologies from Deputy Speaker, Deputy Chief Whip of the largest party, Mr. Bino Dada, from the DA, Mr. Hadebe from IFP, who are in the IPU. They are coming back today. These are the apologies that we have received. Are there any that we need to consider? Honorable Mkhaliphi?
Thanks, Speaker. Apology for our Chief Whip, who is also part of the delegation.
Oh, okay.
From the
Thank you
IPU.
very much. Jobe?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This can be excused at quarter to 10.
Will be done, I'm sure, by the time.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Chief Whip for Action SA, Lerato Ngobeni.
Thank you very much. Those apologies have been noted. We are now going to consider the minutes of our last meeting of the 19th of September. They have been circulated. Hello? Oh, okay. Sorry, consideration of the agenda, which has also been circulated and has been flighted. Any mover for the adoption? Honorable Frolik, seconded by Honorable Stole. Thank you very much. Matters, let's consider our minutes of the 19th of September, which have also been circulated. They can be flighted, just as a reminder. Page 1 of those minutes. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Five. 6. Thank you. Are there any corrections that members may want to flag? Can I take it that this reflects the correct record of our last meeting? I don't see any hand that.
Speaker, I suggest that we adopt the meeting because those who were there seems to be reluctant to adopt. So I propose that we adopt.
Okay, you need to be seconded, Honorable Chief Whip, seconded by Honorable Ghana. Thank you very much. Can we now move to the matters arising? Mr. Clason?
Madam Speaker, we would like to indicate that the Members Support Forum will be meeting on the 18th of October. And Honorable Frolik, I believe, would like to say something about the establishment of joint structures.
Thank you, Honorable Frolik.
No, good morning, Honorable Speaker, and also to the colleagues. May I indicate, Speaker, that we've received an indication from the NCOP that all the names for those joint committees have been submitted now. It just awaits the signing off of the names by the chairperson of the NCOP. And then I'm trying to get hold of the Honorable Ryder. I know he's traveling abroad, so that we agree that next Wednesday is identified for the election of the chairpersons of those committees. I am also aware that next week the NCOP won't be around. So the meetings, the proposal will be that it takes place virtually to elect those chairpersons. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Is Mr. Clason?
Madam Speaker, there was an issue also about an ad hoc committee on apartheid legislation. We would like to indicate that by next week, after we have consulted with Madam Speaker on the proposal, there should be an announcement in terms of what structure would be considered for that purpose. Thanks.
Okay, members, I can see they look a bit surprised, some of them, but remember that this was an issue that was raised in this meeting, particularly from the EFF side, that we needed to fast track that process. It was raised in the past administration that we need to deal with all the apartheid laws that are still in our statute. And there was then agreement that we'll have to look at a process of the ad hoc committee or sending some of those to the different ministries to look at whether there are any elements of some that are still in use. So this is the report that will be brought next week. Honorable Hlangwini, I can see your hand.
Thank you very much, Speaker, and morning to you and morning to members. Speaker, I think last time we have resolved in this meeting and I think even in two other programming committee meetings that we're not gonna get matters arising in this format. Because it's quite problemsome. I want to trust Mr. Tasso's honor that is gonna keep track with all of the points. But for us also as members, for our record purposes as well, can we not have a table form of every week after the minutes is done?
Okay.
Give us another document, or even if you email it to us and say, this is the matters arising, that is how far we are, that is who's responsible and so forth. Because it's quite problemsome if we are handling, because now it looks like we are handling it very clumsily. So we are relying on one person only to give us this matters arising and give us the feedback on some of these things. So
Okay.
I'm pleading with you, Speaker, let's have it in our next meeting, a proper way on how we are setting out our matters arising. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. What we can do is just to have an additional page on our minutes that captures matters rising so that when that is circulated to members, all members will have those. And what we can then deal with in the meeting is if there are other issues that we might have missed. So can we resolve in that way? And the administration is here, we'll take note of that. Honorable Kalipi?
Thanks, Speaker. I agree with that guidance. Just a clarity on what Chairs was responding to regards to committees. And he alluded to the fact that the NSOP is going to be available next week and those committees are going to be resolved. I just want to find out the ethics is part of those committees that are going to be structured and put next week.
Okay,
Yeah.
Honorable.
Or if you can give us a list of those committees, because some of these committees are very late in, we can't be, it's now, it's what, it's October.
All right, all
The
right.
parliament was constituted in June, Speaker.
I know.
It's
It's
all the,
GNU, is this GNU?
Kalipi, no. Yes,
no, thank you, Honorable Speaker. It's all the joint committees that we are referring to.
okay. No. Ms. Clausen?
Certainly, Madam Speaker, all the joint committees except the JSCI.
Yeah.
Because there's a process that must be followed, the vetting process for all the names that have been submitted.
Okay, thank you. Just on that issue, I also wanted to comment, just to say to political parties, please next time, let's just put some agency on these matters. This is one area where we have been found wanting. Majority of the parties did not give us the names on time, which has actually caused the delay. I spoke to those parties concerned where we did not receive names earlier, and I just want to say for future purposes, can we please try and speed up whatever processes that we need to speed up so that the work of Parliament is not delayed. Thank you very much. Can we now move to the next agenda item, which is reports, committee section. Sorry, there is an issue.
Thank you, Speaker.
Yes,
I
Honorable
just
Mike.
wanted to just check as to how was my point processed, the issue about ministers being the ones that respond to questions, because the issue here, Chair, Speaker, is a serious one. Because as you would know, that deputy ministers get involved as far as subcommittees of cabinet are concerned. But matters go to cabinet, and at cabinet, they get further enriched and discussed, and a particular decision is taken. Now, it's very well and easy when a question has been submitted that a prepared answer can be made. But then you get follow-up questions. Then the follow-up questions require somebody that has got an in-depth understanding and understands the final decision and the rationale. And that can only be with somebody who has been at a cabinet meeting. So I'm arguing, Speaker, that ministers, I mean deputy ministers, purely because of the fact that they don't sit in cabinet, they don't have all the information required. This is why we end up with a whole lot of complaints here about executive not answering, but just responding to questions because they have to kick for touch because they don't have all the information. So as Parliament here, we sit here with inadequate responses. So I'm saying, Speaker, that we raise this point that cabinet ministers must prioritize coming to answer questions here. They're not doing us a favor. They mustn't be sending deputy ministers, they must come themselves because they sit in cabinet.
Thank you very much, Honorable Manye, but let me just advise you that if you look at Rule 138 on questions to ministers, that decision was dealt with in the Rules Committee in the previous administration that allows deputy ministers to answer. And I must say that while I note what you are saying, and as you had been once the spokesperson of GCIS, you would know that even if deputy ministers don't sit in cabinet, they are deputy ministers of the portfolio. So they are fully aware of decisions that get taken by cabinet because those are communicated to them. They are vexed with issues because they are part of the portfolio. I do think that if the matter, we want to raise it again, we would raise it in the Rules Committee. But as the rule stands now, it allows for deputy ministers to answer questions, to participate and lead delegations in the Portfolio Committee. And I do think in my view, let's respect that decision because also it might just render it impossible for ourselves to function because members of the executive also have to do responsibility and they do prioritize. And where they don't come, no, Honorable Manye, where they don't come, they write to the Speaker and apologize and indicate that the deputy minister will answer. And in certain instances, they would even ask their colleagues to answer. So, but if we want to re-raise the matter, I would suggest that it goes back to the Rules Committee because as it stands now, there is a rule that provides that. We can't change it here, in my view. Honorable Mhlangwini, Honorable Frolik, and Honorable Programming Whip. Yes, Honorable Mhlangwini.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I think just maybe perhaps on a different approach. We did write to your office, and I think it did also come up in the minutes. I think it was in the meeting that you were not here, that we did raise the issue in terms of our letter, in terms of the quality of answers of ministers. And we will just like to know what is the response since the Council of the Presidency is here and the Deputy President. What is the response from the President? How is it going to be addressed in terms of giving members of Parliament quality answers to the questions that they are asking ministers? Because it's quite problemsome that we are getting these or giving these questions and then you are just getting an answer that is not befitting of even that specific portfolio and also that addresses your problem that you are bringing back from your constituency. Okay. So I would just like to find out from your office, how far is that type of correspondence and what is the corrective actions that will be taken? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Frolik.
Yes, no, Deputy Speaker, Speaker, my apologies. You correctly referred to the rules, and I think that this matter if it persists, should be a subject for discussion in the subcommittee of the rules, so that we can see where we can further, if necessary, tighten that piece. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Dagmo?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I think it is important that all chief whips who are participating in the programming committee are first of all familiar with the rules. I think that's a basic starting point in regard to, I'm referring to everyone. Because if you look on page 100 of the rules of the National Assembly, in terms of 138.3, that is specifically, Speaker, what you have referred to, the Deputy Minister. But there is another provision which says that if a minister and his or her deputy are absent, then the minister may authorize another cabinet member to reply to a question directed at that minister, provided the cabinet member so authorized is able to respond competently to any permissible supplementary questions that may be asked. So I just think it's important when we raise issues here, we should firstly be aware of what the rules currently say. And there is a rules committee. This is a programming committee meeting. It's not a rules committee meeting.
Honorable members, I have clarified the issue. I've given guidance on how we need to deal with this matter going forward. Members have indicated if they would want the matter to be relooked into, as we know, processes starts in the rules subcommittee and then in the rules committee. But I was just clarifying that as for now, the matter is covered. Honorable Manye, do you want to come back on your issue?
Oh, no, thank you, Speaker, because we can't have this sort of supervision by other members here when the Speaker is ruled. So the members from the coalition must respect the Speaker's decisions. Thank you.
Honorable Kalipi?
Yeah, Chair, I'm also confused because we have clarified the matter in terms of the rule. Why now some people must come and even read the rules? Is not that patriarchy? Nevertheless, but yes, Speaker, my problem is that even the Constitution is very clear to say that you're an active parliament. My problem starts when the minister's giving answers that does not even hold waters. And presiding officers, when members get agitated and said, no, please give us the quality answer to the question. And then the presiding officers just blocked the member, said, no, the minister have answered. So I hear you about the rules, but can't we just be proactive and think about the people who voted for us, Speaker?
Thank you very much, honorable members. The matter, as I said, has been canvassed and closed. With respect to Honorable Nhlangwini, on the issue of quality of questions, we have raised the matter with the leader of government business. We've written, but also in addition, we have held a workshop with parliamentary liaison officers of all ministers and their chief of staff to actually deal with the issues of questions specifically, both in terms of quality, the timelines, and how those must be responded to. So, and I must thank the two councillors because they were present also in that meeting and enabled us to canvass a lot of matters with the officials of ministers, because we did feel that some of the PLOs and chief of staff I knew, they may not be quite au fait with certain processes and their responsibilities to guide. And in some ministries, there were even DG's officers who participated, because we feel it's an important area of oversight that the executive needs to appreciate and how they must deal with issues. The leader of government business has also indicated to us what they are doing on the side of cabinet to make sure that this matter is really addressed, particularly the quality of questions. So I would hope that those interventions we are making, in addition to just letters, will bear positive fruits. Honorable Mentor, you had your hand up.
Thank you very much, Speaker. No, two areas for me. One, which I'm hoping you have addressed it and it will be resolved, is a matter of asking questions to ministers. Questions that impacting provinces, like scholar transport, nutrition in schools. And ministers that are involved there, Minister of Transport, Minister of Basic Education, will refer you to legislatures of provinces, which is very much unacceptable because the minister that we ask here is the minister responsible politically for that department. So there is no way that you are referring a member of parliament to a legislature that go and ask that legislature. It's not part of my responsibility. That's very much arrogant and it's not acceptable. On two occasions, I've received written replies that are in that nature of referring a member of parliament to the provinces. It's very wrong. They should actually ask for some time and do consultation with the province, then come back to the House to say, this is the procedure and this is what is happening with the provinces. Number two, Speaker, is that we've been seized with this matter of questions and answers and rules and everything and amendment of rules. But the subcommittee on rules is not sitting. That's our biggest problem. We've been saying, no, it's referred to the rules, subcommittee of rules. Now, the last time they said we were dealing with the matter of the sitting arrangement, they only said for that specific item of the sitting arrangement of the opposition and or those that are in governance. They didn't deal with anything that we have referred to them as far back as June as a rules committee. So please, your office must intervene. The subcommittee on rules must deal with our matters. And in our next meeting of the programming committee, let's please receive a very positive outcome of the sub-rules committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to make a proposal to the NA table that we have the rules committee because the challenge is maybe not having that meeting. We are bringing a number of issues into the programming committee that needs to deal with programming issues. So what I will arrange is that we have a rules committee. I will talk to the subcommittee on rules, but I think there are some matters that we need to just deal with it on the rules committee so that we do not clutter the programming committee, which is supposed to really deal with programming. And particularly Thursdays, we try to make sure that we do not also impact negatively on parties caucuses, which starts at 10. But I take note of the issues that we've raised. One of the issues I think in the rules committee will have to deliberate on, it's how do we deal with the concurrent functions? Because the issue you are raising, I think, impacts all the ministries that have got concurrent functions. And given that our parliament is composed of two houses, NCOP being the one that has got provincial representation, we might need to say, how do we address those matters of a concurrent nature with regard to question time, more in detail, so that we can give guide, so that it's not dependent on one minister or the other. So I would appeal to members, because I think it's a broader question. It's not just about not answering or delaying answering, but it's how do we deal with our constitutional architecture in terms of the concurrency? Because I think that's part of a little lacuna, in my view, that we must address. So if members would bear with me that in our next rules committee, let's try and reflect on this issue and how we would want to deal with it going forward. Very soon. Naku sesizodibana nase tenteni yakwa Rhadebe. Ngoba sidileyo ayi-public works, kodwa ke akufani nokho. Sumemile uRhadebe emcimbini sawuya pha. Namhlanje ukuya phambili. Engekho kuRhadebe leGeneva thina siya kwakhe. Honorable members, thank you very much. Can I ask Ms. Kanyaza to take us through quickly on the reports.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Speaker, and good morning to members and colleagues here. Starting with slide number 2, we still have 13 bills before NA committees. 9 of them are Section 75 bills and 4 of them are Section 76 bills. I've also added the NA resolution in terms of Section 21A of the Political Funding Act, which is also before the Committee on Home Affairs. Going to slide number 4. Slide number 4 is the SA Reserve Bank bill that is before the Standing Committee on Finance. And it is to report that a committee took a decision that it will consider it in the first term of 2025. The next slide is slide number 6 in relation to the marriage bill before the PC on Home Affairs. There we just providing more clarity in terms of the public hearings that are going to take place. On the 8th, 9th and 10th, they will have public hearings on that bill in KZN. And on the 20th to the 22nd of November, they will be having these public hearings in Gauteng. Next slide, number 7. Sorry. The next slide is before the Committee on Home Affairs is the Immigration Amendment Bill. It is just for members to note that the bill will be advertised as from the 20th of October, 2024. Next slide is slide number 10. This actually relates to the resolution that I've already spoken about, and the committee has actually considered the resolution, and it will be advertised as from the 20th. Apologies, the speakers, not the 18th, but rather the 20th of October, and the closing date, it is on the 22nd of November, and thereafter the committee will then schedule in terms of its processes. And then we move to slide number 20. Slide number 20 deals with statutory appointments before the Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technologies. It is with regards to appointments to ICASA. The committee has updated its program now. There will be shortlisting on the 22nd of October, and they intend to hold interviews on the 8th of November and consider and adopt its report on the 29th of November, 2024. The last slide, Speaker, is slide number 27. That petition is just for committee members here to note that that same petition was actually referred to 3 committees, and the 4th committee is the PC on Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. They still need to update their program. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you. Can we take the bills report?
Good morning, Honorable Speaker. Good morning, honorable members. On our report today, on the first slide, Honorable Speaker, we've listed the bills that are before the NA. And the second slide, we've listed the bills that are before the NCOP. Then our report will start from slide number 6. If we go to slide number 6, we report that the President has signed into law the Communal Property Amendment Bill, B12B of 2017, and is now Act 20 of 2018. The bill was signed into law on the 30th of September 2024, and the official second language is Afrikaans. With the recent assent to the Communal Property Association Amendment Bill and the referral of the Copyright and Performance Protection Acts, this brings the total number of bills that are with the President to 14. So, Honorable Speaker, we also report that the Copyright Amendment Bill and the Performance Protection Amendment Bill The President referred the bills to the Constitutional Court in terms of Section 79(4) of the Constitution to consider its constitutionality. So the letter by the President that is giving more details on his decision on constitutionality was published in yesterday's ATC. Slide number 7, please. On slide number 7, Honorable Speaker, this slide lists the acts signed by the President and are now in operation. These slides are in response to Honorable Manyi's request. So only the acts signed at the commencement of the 7th Parliament are listed in this report. So honorable members, we will continue to monitor and report on every act that the President signs and report as requested. To the next slide, please. So these are the acts that are in operation. So we do have the dates of these acts that are in, no, not this slide, please. The previous slide. Thank you. Thank you. So these are the acts that are now in force. So the first one is the South African Institute to Drug-Free Sport Amendment Act, which has commenced on the 4th of June, 2024. And the Division of Revenue Act commenced on the 3rd of June. And the revenue laws commenced on the 1st of September. National Prosecuting Authority, so we will see that the commencement date on the National Prosecuting Authority are 2 dates. The first one, the commencement was on the 1st of October 2024 for some sections, and the other section has commenced on the will commence on the 1st of December 2024. And the pension funds has commenced on September 2024, and the National Youth Development has commenced on the 18th of September 2024. The Appropriation Act commenced on 20 August 2024. Honorable Speaker, we're not gonna give the names of the acts. In fact, we're not gonna read them, but we've already listed them, the list of the bills and that were assented, but they are not in operation. They are in slide number 8 and slide number 9. With your permission, can I hand over to Advocate van der Merwe to give us a report on Constitutional Court judgments? Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. van der Merwe.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Speaker. Good morning to the members. Before I start, if I may just add that there was a report also circulated to members that contains more information on all the matters where there are suspended orders. This presentation is only in respect of those where there have been some progress. The first matter to report on is in relation to the Divorce Act. And Department of Justice and Constitutional Development has in fact sent a letter with a couple of matters that they gave us some feedback on. They are envisaging that this bill will be introduced during November 2024. It is currently going through the cabinet process. The matter of Mohali on dealing with the Traditional and Khoisan Leadership Act, the department confirmed in a telephone conversation, and in fact yesterday I also discussed the actual notices with them. They are preparing the notices required for pre-introduction. They are planning to introduce this bill by 31 October. So within the next couple of weeks. And then the last matter on the next slide, you've already been alerted to it by my colleague that the Copyright and Performance Protection Amendment bills were referred to the Constitutional Court to decide on their constitutionality. The Copyright Act is affected by a judgment, the Blind SA judgment. The order already lapsed on the 20th of September. Blind SA also brought an application to the court about this, and the President then referred the bill to the Constitutional Court. We are waiting on directions from the court, but we are also preparing an advice to Speaker and to the chairperson of the NCOP on the referral itself, as well as the expected process. There's not much that we can know for. We're looking at what has happened in the past to try and advise as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the report both from the committee section as well as on the bills office. Honorable Manya.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you for the reports and thank you for the additions of bills accented as requested before. Just two things, Speaker. One, I just wanted to just check whether would it be too much work for the team when they do this part where they, I don't know how to refer to this, bills before committee. I think there's enough space on this thing here just to high level, just to say what it's about in here, to make purpose of the bill and all of that. If they could say that, it makes it easy when we also give report backs to our caucuses to say this bill, I mean, is to say tobacco product electronic delivery system. What exactly are we trying to deal with there? And so on, all of them. So that one, Chair, that's the first one. Second point, Chairperson, I want to speak, I wanted to just check as to where is the Employment Equity Act in this process here? Because that law was passed by this parliament once again in May 2022. The amendments were passed by Parliament in May 2022. In April 2023, the President signed it into law, but it was not immediately enforceable. To date, it's not enforceable. Even when we ask for an urgent question to deal with this matter, the Speaker refuses for the President to deal with this matter. So we're sitting with a problem here.
No.
So, yeah, so Speaker, I was sitting with a problem how come Employment Equity Act, such an important law, falling into cracks like this? Where is it? It's not anywhere reflected, but bottom line is that April
Okay.
2023 assent has still not come into force, but, and then lastly, Chairperson, on
You
the
said
basic.
two, now it's three.
No, but it's all here, Chairperson. On the Basic Education Laws Amendment Act, my understanding was that this act has been signed into law, is operational, barring two clauses, I think 4 and 5 or something. But I'm not understanding why it's listed here as not yet come into force. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Dagmo.
For the reports that have been provided, just a quick thing on the committee section report. There is reference to the bill that has been referred to Justice, the Protection of State Information Bill. That's on page 11. But on the current status, I just wanted clarity because it says that the bill pending consultation regarding the appropriate committee to deal with it, refer to letter of 24th of June 2020. Now, my understanding is that the bill is with Justice. So I'm not sure whether that description of current status is correct. Maybe there's an explanation to that. It's on page 11 of the committee section. And then in regard to the report on legislation from the Bills Office, I'm also welcoming the fact that as per the suggestion made by Honorable Manyi, there is now this section on acts yet to come in force. But I think it would be useful, and I'm not sure whether that's possible, say for instance, Cannabis for Private Purposes Act. Could there be just a description of why, what is the delay? I think one of the officials reported now on the President referring the copyright and others to the Constitutional Court. But if we, and obviously we have work to do ourselves, but we've passed legislation. Our duty is to hold the executive to account. So if we have laws, but they're not implemented yet, I think that's should be a concern to Parliament. So I'm wondering, Speaker, if it is possible that under that section from now on, acts yet to come into force, we could just have a sense as to what is the delay, what is the time frame? Because I think we should keep up the pressure on those departments that need to implement laws which we spend months and sometimes years passing. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Mentor, followed by Honorable Kalipi, Honorable Utama, and Honorable Tlangwini.
Thank you, Speaker. I deliberately did not raise it as a matter arising in the minutes because it's an agenda item. We had a question or rather a request made to indicate, because there are laws we've passed and they have never been assented to, reasons as to why are they still not being assented to. There is a list that were given. It's only on those that have been assented to, but maybe regulations not developed and all of those things. Another thing is we need to get into a practice of putting dates into our reports, because we sit and think things that we're dealing with, they were done yesterday. There are laws that we passed more than 2 years ago, yet they are not assented to, and we don't know why. And then we're told there will be a consultation and a response to that. I think it's time we get that response. Secondly, I'm going to make a request. I say we have a lot of Section 75s, and then also Section 77, Mr. Frolic. There is a practice, or rather a tendency in Parliament, that Section 75s and 77 public hearings are done either virtually or in Parliament. So my member informed me that they were dealing with public consultations on tax, and they were just confined into either a Zoom space or in Parliament. And I'm asking myself that it looks like there is a misconstrued understanding of Parliament pertaining to Section 75, that it's something that should just be between the department and certain elite individuals. The public doesn't get involved. We have people in business, small business people that have difficulties in tax and all of those things. And if we're going to speak to tax as Parliament, we should bring everyone on board to have an understanding of where we are before we pass the laws. And most times, especially with Section 77, we don't do extensive work in that area to bring the public on board. I think our model in terms of public hearing, House Chair, must be relooked at. Yes, I understand if you are going to deal with AG and an amendment on AG, yeah, it can be in Parliament because it's just laws on Auditor General, it's our institution. But if you're going to deal with tax, you're going to deal with budget, we have to have a model that brings everyone on board so that our people do understand what we do in Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kalipi.
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to find out on the committee section, where is the NA resolution on Israel embassy? Because we are not updated about that NA resolution. It has been long when we took that decision as the NA. So it's not reflecting on anywhere. There's no update in regards to the closing down of Israel embassy. Speaker, can we be updated? What is happening with that item? The second one, Speaker, I just want to check the Bella bill, because the president got pressured by the DA. And then as a result, he signed that Bella bill into an act, but said other clause must be deferred back. What is the status of that bill now? Maybe the counselor to the president, instead of sitting here, not doing anything,
no.
must update us.
No,
What
Honorable
is the
Kalipi,
president?
the issue you're raising already was canvassed by Honorable Manye, exactly the same way, wanting to know what's the status.
Yeah, but Speaker, I'm on the platform.
Yeah, but I've
No, we
also
have
just guided.
Speaker, please, we have people who are sitting in this forum, and we have all right to ask them, because they can't represent the president and not updating this forum with the issues that pertaining the president. The Bella bill is very important, Speaker, and we don't know the status of that bill, if it's enforceable right now or is not. So in that spirit, we must be updated, because people need that Bella bill. Asikaze sizwe le nto yenziwa upresident esabi DA. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mkalipi. The committee sections and the bill section will respond to the report. Honorable Mkutano.
Thanks, Chair. I just want to raise an issue around the gross underutilization of petitions. I see now even this report, there are only 2 petitions. And in the past, I had seen that there were some petitions, but they've fallen off. So there's a huge amount of attrition. So it seems to me that we need to do 2 things. One, have public education. So people know that over and above the legislation process that we undertake, they can participate in this parliament. It's a very important instrument. So that's number one, that we consider public education so that people are aware that they have that possibility to participate, but also to investigate what happens to these petitions once they are launched. Why is it takes so long to come to conclusion, or they just somehow disappear in the process? Because as I say, I've seen a report which indicated a lot of petitions which were inherited from the past, but they have since fallen off from this report. Perhaps in the next meeting, we get a comprehensive report on where are all these petitions, and then start a process to see if we can address, in terms of policy, the length that it takes to address a petition, so that it becomes a matter of policy to say, once we launch a petition this time, it will take this long to be resolved. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Tlangwini.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I just want to check with the committee section or the bills section. Do they keep track with legislation that is before, that is still within the departments? Because I know in mining and minerals, there's a whole lot of legislations that are being reviewed or are being looked into. So are we keeping track as well with that? And can we also maybe perhaps get a report or be slot in with how far that legislation are that is in front of maybe perhaps the departments? I think the chief, the whip of the ANC have also alluded to the timeframes and the national chair of the EFF. So maybe perhaps if we can get that, because the mine health issue have been a burning issue. So we don't want to lose track of some of these legislations that are being amended and we don't keep track of them. So maybe perhaps somewhere it can be slotted in. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Skosana.
Thank you, Speaker.
Did you have your hand up?
Yes.
Yes, that's why I'm
No,
asking.
I'm scared the way you look at me. I'm getting
No,
scared.
why are you scared?
The look will make me scared.
Happy, I think I must use that look
Thank you.
more often. Yeah.
Yeah, what I wanted to ask, Speaker, is that the lady spoke, I did not hear very well. He said I think slide number, he spoke about Africans. I did not hear him well, just wanted to clarity on that. And my last one is that this issue of public participation, public hearings, it's been done before, like the land expropriation without compensation. It ends up in a thin air. So we should not just do it for a PR exercise. This thing has to be implemented and there should be time frames. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Frolick. You had your hand up? Unless you are.
No, Speaker, I just wanted to briefly indicate that we take note of what the Honorable Mente have said, but ultimately committees determine their own programs, and the member must raise those issues in the committee if they feel that further interaction is required. Secondly, as far as legislation, prospective legislation, and Honorable Speaker, that sometimes it never even reaches Parliament. It's work that the departments are doing, things that they consider, and we can only deal with it when it comes to Parliament and Speaker refers it to the relevant committee. It's very difficult to ask the different departments, what legislation are you considering? Because it will be almost like taking a shotgun approach in a dark alley, not knowing if you're going to hit something or not.
Thank you. I just wanted to indicate that I'll ask the committee and the bill section to respond, as well as Mr. Klaso, on some of the questions that has been raised. But also indicate that some of the issues, the one Honorable Ntlangwini raised, I think that would fall, in my view, more from the portfolio committee side when they engage with the departments, particularly where they know that there might have been issues in the discussions with the departments and ministers, that we will look into this bill so that those matters get followed up. Maybe what we might need to say, Honorable Frolik, is that in discussion with our staff, researchers, and committee secretaries, they must keep track of the issues and, make sure that those issues where commitments have been made or where questions has been raised in the portfolio committees, they advise their chairs accordingly so that those meeting when the portfolio committee meets are actually dealt with accordingly. So we utilize that space. Can I ask Kanyaza to respond in the bill section, and Klaso?
Thank you very much, Speaker. I just want to confirm first that the bill on the Protection of State Information Bill has been referred to the Portfolio Committee on Justice, and I've made the update on it, and the committee is going to have its briefing on the 27th of November, 2024. Thank you, Speaker.
Dr. Mbata?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I will respond on the Bella bill first. The bill is not yet proclaimed, so there's no proclamation for the bill. And I remember when we listened to the president, when he was signing the bill, he said the bill will be delayed for implementation for the next 3 months, and some of the sections to allow consultations for stakeholders. So that's all we know, but on the web, there's no proclamation for that. That's why we didn't report on its proclamation. And then the next question from Honorable Ntlangwini, we won't be able to advise the committee on bills that are not yet before Parliament, that are still with the departments, because we don't have that information. We only have information on bills that have been submitted to Parliament. And then, we start working on those. Honorable Skosana, on the issue of the second language of the communal property, which is Afrikaans. So when a bill is translated and then sent to the president, it's translated on the language of the principal act. So it means the principal act of the language that was translated on, it was Afrikaans. So when it's amended, then we amend on that language. And again, the department is the one that is choosing the second language of each and every bill. But now I can assure the committee that on the new bills that are being introduced, the second languages are mostly the indigenous languages, but the old bills that were passed and introduced prior 1994, those that were Afrikaans, there's nothing that we can do. They are amended in that language that were introduced. Thank you.
You have not responded on the question that was asked by Honorable Manye on the employment equity. Honorable Manje says in the reports, there's nothing that's indicated on the employment equity. As far as he recalls, that legislation was passed and there is no information as to where it is now.
Honorable Manye, we don't have that information, but we will come back and report next week. We will do our research and come back and report next week. But on the bills, Honorable Speaker, that are still with the President, we really don't know when those bills are going to be signed into law. But what we have done, we have processed them as Parliament, and then they are with the President. So we just await as the bill's office. I don't know,
There was also a question as to whether it's possible that you can put a little bit more detail on the section where we indicate that there's this legislation, maybe in one column, just to say in summary, what the essence of the bill is about. So is it possible? Is it not possible?
I think it was directed to committee section to indicate.
Yeah,
on
but
the
I've
objects-
asked both of you to respond.
On the objects of the bill, Dr. Twalo, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much. My apologies, Speaker, for not responding to that question. We will definitely include that information in our report so that it is there. I just also
On the
repeat-
petitions? Okay, Honorable, Mr. Klaas will deal with it.
Okay, I just received some feedback from the manager that's responsible for the committee dealt with the bill. They're saying that it has not been referred back to the committee. However, the committee will receive a briefing from the committee informally next Tuesday on the two clauses for the benefit of the new members. Thank you.
Well, let me just indicate that let's come back on that issue, because what the question was about is that the bill has been signed by the two clauses. So the question that Honorable Manu was asking is, where is, barring the two sections that need amendment, what is the status of that legislation as of now following the signing? So let me park the issue and say, as a Speaker's office, we will follow up with the presidency and then come back in the next meeting just to clarify. Because I think at the moment your answers are like, Okay, Mr. Klaso.
Madam Speaker, I would like to respond to two issues. The matter of the resolution on Palestine, Israel was dealt with in the last meeting. It's carried in the minutes of today that we considered. And it was raised by Honorable Tlangwini and it's been responded to. So, and the essence of it is that the chief whip of the EFF wrote to the speaker and speaker responded to the matter and referred to two parliamentary questions that were raised in relation to the issue. Further, that the speaker has addressed correspondence to the Minister of International Relations to give a progress report. So that's the status as things are at the moment. On petitions, Madam Speaker, we will endeavor to give more information. And the honorable member is correct. Maybe there's need for more public education. But Parliament, before we adjourned for the elections, adopted a framework on petitions. And that framework stipulates that a petition should be completed within 3 months, a period of 3 months. And that is what we are working on at the moment. When we do get petitions, we refer them, those that qualify as petitions, to committees. But there are those that are labeled as petitions that do not quite qualify as petitions. We deal with them and respond to the people concerned. But indeed, petitions is a priority for the 7th Parliament. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just to say, we note some of the proposals that have been made, and I think that's what Honorable Frolik was referring to, Honorable Mkhitam, about public education, that will be integrated on. There was an issue that was raised by Honorable Mente about the detail of the legislations that have been passed, which may not have been assented as yet, to get a status where some of those are. So I think that's one question that you would need to maybe take note and respond next week. Honorable Mkhaliphi?
Speaker, I think that you are not serious about the work of Parliament. We can't accept just a response to say that the letter was written to the Minister of International Relations without specific timeframes. If you remember very well about this motion that we put as EFF, it was in the last administration. And now it seems as if Parliament does not have appetite as well on their own resolution that was taken. Can we please get a very straight answer, Speaker, to what is the way forward in regards to this issue of closing down of the Israel embassy? The second issue about Bella Bill that was responded to, again, Speaker, it means that the Parliament is not doing their work. We can't allow the bill or the act to be delayed with 3 months. So first of all, you must ask yourself, why did we have this bill? Is to address issues that are emanating from the communities. And the president, when he needs to process this bill, he's taking a decision and even said it will be delayed with 3 months. What about those issues that were supposed to be addressed through this bill? Again, I suggest that the Parliament must not allow that situation to happen. Unfortunately, it talks to you as the head of this institution, Speaker, to ensure that the executive does not dictate to the work of Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable member, that's why I said on the Bella Bill, I'll come back here. So I think that's closed. Because I did say that the way in which the answer was given was not conclusive. I will deal with the matter with the Office of the President and come back here so that we get clarity on the status of that legislation. President signed the bill into law. There were only 2 clauses that were suspended, which must be dealt with. So that's why I'm saying we will come back to you next week on the answer. With respect to the earlier issue on the Israel embassy, we have responded and it's in the minutes. We will, once we receive the answer from the ministry, we will come back and report again. So again, those 2 matters are closed. Honorable members, let's move on the program. Honorable Skosana and Honorable Mente.
A quick one, Speaker. The rule still protects the executive, and I guess I want to support.
So which issue?
No, I'm saying the rules protects
Okay.
the executive, and meaning the ministers and the president are being protected by the rules in contravention of the Constitution. Parliament, in terms of Section 55, is very clear that as Parliament, we have to conduct oversight. And, you know, this issue of ministers not wanting to give us quality answers has to stop. And like she says now, that like this Bella, as you said, but let me stop there because you said you'll come back.
Honorable Skosana, the issue on quality of questions, maybe you had not answered, we dealt with it. It was raised by one of the honorable members here earlier. So it was addressed. Honorable Mente?
Speaker, I hear your undertaking that you'll get back to us in terms of the Bella Bill, but it should not be this platform which emphasizes on certain aspects of our primary function, that of making the law. Immediately when the president indicated that there are certain clauses that he is going to not attend to in terms of the bill, Parliament should have immediately asked the president why. Because we can't sit and deal with the matters that are of importance of the people, in particular, the way our society is structured, is that it has this disintegration, and Black people must go to townships and rural schools, or white people must go to better schools and all of that. And that we must put a stop to it. It's 30 days later, 30 years later in democracy. So we should have already dealt with the matter. So please, next week, we want that answer. However, then again, the bill's office says the matter is not proclaimed, yet it's been ascended to. It should also be a matter that is concerning to us because we're being undermined. Once we say do this and you don't do it, there must be reasons as to Parliament, go back, do your work, I'm not satisfied. He has all the right to say, I'm not satisfied with the process or how you dealt with, deal with it immediately as Parliament so that we deal with it. But we can't be reported to that bill is assented to, yet not proclaimed. What is the point? What is the point of us doing all the work? The last one, Speaker, is that Bill's office are saying there's nothing they can do if the president is not signing. We can't pass a bill, take it to the president, and then it sits there with no explanation as to why it's just sitting there and there's nothing. And then we must sit here and accept that. We can't accept that. There must be an explanation next to each and every bill we pass here. Why is it still sitting? Otherwise, we must just close shop. There's nothing that we must do. If we can pass laws and then those laws are not signed to. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. I think on the issue of consultations with the executive, we've dealt with those matters. And when we make an undertaking here that will come back and report, we make that undertaking. And I guess when the Bill's office and they are responding as officials, if they can't follow up the matter, that doesn't mean that it can't be dealt with by the Speaker's office. And that's why I had said on the Bella bill and the way they responded, I will deal with it. So I just want to say to honorable members, yes, where there are concerns in the way in which as Parliament we might not have done this, we will take note of that and see how we improve. But I think also there must be appreciation that when we make a decision and say this is what we will do and we come back and report, it must also be appreciated. And it's not the first time. Where we have said we'll deal with issues, we have, and we came back here and reported. It might not be to the satisfaction of members on how those matters might have been dealt with, but it's not because there hasn't been any decision or rather any action on those matters. But we've taken note on issues that members have raised. No, honorable members, what I'm trying to say is that at an official's level, there might be issues that they've got difficulty with, but that doesn't mean the Speaker's office, if appraised on those issues, can't be dealt with. That's why I said, specifically on that matter where even myself, as I listen to the committee section and the bill section, we need to deal with at the political level, I will deal with it. So I'm saying, if there are certain weaknesses, as you say, that some of the matters we should have been proactive, we take note of that and we will improve on it. Can I then allow, I will allow Honorable Manye, who had his hand first, and I'll come back to you.
Thank you, Speaker. First, I accept your explanation and your answers. I'm going to ask a different question. And the question I wanted to just check is that should we now as South Africa expect that all the laws that were passed by the sixth administration when the ANC was properly in power, that now that we've got this coalition with the DA, that we can expect the reversal of these laws because these processes have gone through a democratic process. Shall we understand now that the DA is going to use the muscle of the ANC actually to get the necessary thresholds for them to reverse transformation? One is on this Bella bill thing. I sat in that committee, by the way, Chair. We had dealt with all the arguments in that committee, went through it clause by clause, that thing. So it was passed properly. And now we have to go back because they have to reverse the gains of transformation. Also on NHI, as an example, is another issue again that they want to go back again. So I just want to understand that must we now understand that the DA's coalition with the ANC is actually manifesting itself in terms of reversing the gains of transformation?
Honorable Mentor.
Speaker, we appreciate your commitment to everything you're doing. But my problem is, here is the president striking off certain clauses from a bill. and that was public knowledge. Your office should have immediately wrote to the president to ask what must happen, because here we're dealing with segregation that is deep rooted in our systems of South Africa. And SGPs that are imposing different standards for our children in schools. If I may, at this platform, say one person who's been dealing with this was Panyaza Lisufi, dealing with how the hair and the uniform, the length and all those things. Those are the deep-rooted problems that we have in South Africa. That should bother all of us. So my question to you is, why didn't you deal with it immediately? Because those clauses are the most problematic ones in that bill. It's not what you are doing now. Immediately, we're trusting that immediately once those kinds of decisions are taken by the president, you should also strike the iron while it's hot to say, but here in the institution, we're not going to allow a problem that we're trying to solve to be delayed. If you are saying it must be delayed, give us the reasons why it must be delayed and what is it that Parliament must do. At this point, 3 months, what are we doing about it? No one knows. We're just going to sit for 3 months. We don't know what we're going to do about it. That's the problem we have.
Well, thank you very much. Honorable Mkalipi.
Speaker, as much as we want to understand your approach and your commitment on the issues that are raised, but some of the things are very difficult to understand. For instance, the issue of the Israel embassy. It was raised on the last term. The whole month, we come back to this platform, there is no way forward. And the speaker who does not even said, what is the time frame for the minister to respond? And you must just accept that, no, as a speaker, we have written a letter to the Minister of International Relations. Speaker, the issue of Israel embassy, as I said before, is not even a resolution of this parliament, is a resolution of the last parliament. So therefore, the issue that suggests that some of the resolutions that was taken when the ANC was in power, now there's a coalition between the DA and the ANC. It seems as if there's politics there. That's why this issue of Israel now is going to be lost somewhere else. That's why, Speaker, next week you must tell us what is the minister have said, and failing which, what is the way forward?
Honorable Mtumseni.
No, thanks, Speaker. Good morning to you and good morning to the honorable members. Madam Speaker, I think the first thing that I want to comment on, because I'm very concerned that it keeps on coming back and generalizing to the extent that it can create a confusion, is the suggestion that because of 1 or 2 bills, which is the NHI as well as the Bella bill, so now there is a position probably taken by the ANC, implemented through the president, that all the laws that were decided by Parliament sometimes back are going to be reversed. There's no position like that from the ANC. I think the concern that is being expressed about the time at which we have taken to understand the reasons why the president has partially signed the bill into law are valid. I think that they are valid, and I think we should support your position that you are going to engage with the office of the president and come back to Parliament, because it's inevitable that in a situation like that, Parliament will have to have a role to play, to define its own role in the context of what has been done when the bill has been partially signed. And I support your position that let's rather allow you to go back to the office of the president directly now as a speaker, as opposed to just your office, and get us some information or answers to the issue, so that as Parliament, we can decide what then becomes our role in dealing with the matter. The only concern I'm having is just a generalized a view, which is seems to be emerging in the discourse here, which suggests that there is now a decision in which the ANC is involved to reverse positions that were adopted by Parliament, either in the past administration or at any other point in time, which I thought is not a correct representation of what, at least to the extent that I know as a chief whip of the ANC, is the position of the African National Congress. That's what I wanted to correct. Thanks.
Honorable Van Ryn.
Ya leboga, Speaker. That Ntuli miss an opportunity to take the House in confidence and explain exactly what are these valid reasons that made the president not to assign to a bill that went through a protracted process, but only to be changed after the establishment of this DA-led coalition. I think you miss an opportunity to explain to us so as we are able to relax and say, now we understand what are the valid reasons, because that's exactly the cause of the confusion. What are these valid reasons that caused the president not to assign to the whole bill, a bill that went through a protracted process and supported by yourselves as the ANC during the deliberations? I think that's an opportunity that I thought you missed, and then that's something that is causing the confusion among the South African constituents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Colleagues and honorable members, some of the issues are political, and indeed this is a political forum of parties, but I wouldn't go to an extent, Honorable Manye, of saying this is what South Africa believes in terms of the view and your assessment of where you are. I wouldn't, because I don't think that would be a correct position as a speaker. And those questions about why particular clauses may not have been accepted by the president, I do appreciate that Parliament has its own responsibility to make laws, but at the same time, the president, when he has to sign a legislation into law, he also has to exercise his responsibility as defined by the Constitution as a head of state, which he also has to take into consideration other views in society and be able to make his decision based on all matters that he would have considered. And I'm sure, as you ask, and as I've committed, that we will request and ask from the president what now. We will come back to the House, but I think it's also important for us, as we want our powers as the legislature to be respected, we also must respect the separation of powers with other arms of state equally as this Parliament. On why the issue was not dealt with immediately, well, as I said, we take note that this might not have been done as how members might have expected it to be dealt with at the time. On the issue of the minister, there was a timeline. We requested the minister to respond to my letter by the 30th of September. We will follow up again with the minister, given that we have not yet got a response onto that. So that matter will come back to you. So when we write to the members, even to the executive, we do put the timelines on when we expect a report, because those matters are equally our concern. Thank you very much, members. And I would like us now to move to the program section, where we look at the program of Parliament.
Speaker, shall I continue?
Yes, you can, Honorable Dagmo.
Thank you very much. Speaker, I think all of us have the copy of the program in front of us, and I'm also aware that we are now 10 minutes before 10, so I'm going to move quickly. I think we all know that we have our President of the Republic answering questions this afternoon, in the marquee across the road. And I think a very important meeting, Speaker, which has been discussed here before, is Friday, where the Member Support Forum is actually meeting. Remember, there were issues about convening it. It's a critical meeting to deal with issues that we have started looking at in terms of the strategic plan, issues facing members, etc. So I just want to emphasize that that's a very important meeting that's happening. We have a very busy day next week. By the way, this term is the longest so far. It's 9 weeks, although we've got 8 weeks to go. And I think what's important about the 22nd is the statement by the Minister of Basic Education on the readiness for the 2024 National Senior Certificate, although we do know that the matrics are actually already starting on Monday. But nevertheless, it's an important statement. And we've got reports there, which I think we're happy about, that reports from committees are actually coming here, and members will have an opportunity to make declarations on that. Normally, again, motions without notice and notices of motions. Wednesday, the 23rd, we have the oral reply, questions for oral reply to the Cluster 5 economics. I just want to say, Speaker, and I'm not sure whether you're aware of it, but we actually checked, and we've had one in up to now, since the 7th administration, we've had 105 questions for oral reply, and 104 of them have been directly responded to by our ministers, which I think is a good achievement. There's just one that we just needs to be resolved in terms of a timing issue. But I just wanted to make that point. And on that day, and I think it relates to the issues raised by Member Manyi and others, these questions on the 23rd of October, the Minister of Land Reform will be here, the Minister of Public Works will be here, the Minister of Science and Technology will be here, Minister of Small Business will be here, Minister of Tourism, Minister of Transport. But when it comes to trade, industry and competition, and I'm just raising that, our Minister is at a BRICS summit, and our Deputy Minister, Godlimpi, is at a G20 summit. But Deputy Minister Whitfield is available. And I know that issue has been referred, but I think I just wanted to raise that. One quick point on Thursday, the 24th, we still await from the IFP and the PA their subject for discussion. We've received from the DA and the ANC, you'll see the subject there about the escalating problem of disaster response, but we just want to request the whips from the PA and the IFP to provide those. And as you see, those are now on Thursday. They're not on Friday. Those mini plenaries are actually happening on Thursday, and then Friday will just be committees that might be there. Then, not much to say on the 29th of October, a normal Tuesday, but importantly, any decisions on questions related to the mini plenaries will be dealt with on Tuesday, the 29th. That's arising from the 25th of October. And then we all know that Wednesday, the 30th of October is kind of pretty much known as the medium-term budget policy statement day. And all of those other bills referred to there will be introduced. And we would then deal with, on the Thursday, questions to the Deputy President, which are noted there. The Tuesday, the 5th, it's clear what would be doing there, member statements again, executive statements, if there are any. And then oral questions again, this time peace and security. And then going into week 18, just before week 18, please note that on Friday, the 8th of November, there will be mini plenary sessions. And Speaker, we wanted to just inform this meeting that those mini plenary sessions, as previously in the second term, are going to be virtual, because there are 4 of those, and the mini plenaries will actually be virtual. Then we go to week 18. We have an important debate there on the 12th of November, the debate on 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children, plus our normal member statements and executive statements. Once again, decisions on questions that arise from the mini plenaries on the 8th of November. Then I think I want to draw members' attention to Thursday, the 14th of November. On that Thursday, we again have programmed the mini plenaries for the Thursday. And not actually, we brought them forward from Friday. And we are waiting topics there. Also from MK, EFF, and then ANC and Freedom Front Plus. Those will be 4 mini plenaries happening there. Week 19, it's basically standard program for Tuesday. And then basically the rest of the week will be questions for oral reply, governance cluster. And at the moment on Friday, the 22nd, we do have the mini plenary scheduled for that Friday, and the parties will be informed about providing their topics. And then we're moving towards the end of the year now, Tuesday, the 26th of November. Quite a lot of consideration of reports from standing committees on the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, the second reading debate. Wednesday, the 27th, we have questions for oral reply to Cluster 4, the Economics Cluster. And basically, we would deal with in the plenary, no debates, but just consideration of those various reports. And then the decision on question of matters debated again in the mini plenaries. Then we essentially go over to the last week. I think members must prepare themselves on Tuesday, the 3rd of December, because there, as you know, we're going to consider the votes and schedules of all the adjustment appropriations and farewell speeches, etc. And so we're really going to be very late on Tuesday, the 3rd of December. And then we simply have committees through to the Friday. And we're all aware that we have the constituency period from 9 to 13 December and then formal leave from the 17th of December. And Speaker, I know that you are aware that although it's next year, the 6th of February is when the President will be addressing Parliament. And that is a summary of where we are in terms of the program. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Program Whip. I've got 3 hands, 5. Ghana, Suwaya, ma'am, and okay. Ghana.
Thanks very much, Speaker. So thank you, Programming Whip, for now scheduling the ministerial statements on Tuesdays. I think it helps. But secondly, Speaker, so you will see with the mini plenaries that the one on the 8th of November, the parties that have to submit the topics for discussions are not listed. But then the following mini plenary, they are listed. So as coming from let's call it the smaller parties, as you'll know, the list or the schedule in terms of how often we'll get opportunities, you'll find that actually the mini plenaries that are sitting on the 14th, the parties that have been listed there should ordinarily be listed on the 8th, so that you get an opportunity for the other parties, the smaller parties, to also have an opportunity to submit a question for debate. So there are those 2 programming week. There are those 2 opportunities for mini plenaries. If we can just look at it, that by the time we come back next week, we have listed the parties that have to submit, topics for debate, so that we see the opportunities that are given to the other smaller organizations in this side of the year, Madam Speaker. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Honorable Suwe.
Thank you, Speaker, and good morning. Just for clarity, from the 6th of November on the program, you no longer indicate where plenary is going to take place. So from the beginning, you indicate plenary in the marquee, but from the 6th of November on the program, you are silent. Does it mean that we are coming back here or we are continuing in the marquee? I hope I'm making sense. So if you follow, you will see that from 6th of November, you are silent. The other one, Speaker, I am not sure because I think we will be doing injustice the whole term. There is nothing about the multi-party women's caucus. Would it be a problem if we pin ourselves to a date so that we can enforce the process to happen? Thank you.
Thank you, Hochane.
Thank you very much, Speaker, and good morning to all members. Speaker, yesterday I wanted to raise a question in the Chief Whips Forum. It was deferred to today, and it was surrounding the mini plenaries, the topic of debate. My main question was the time allocation for the parties and where the mini plenaries for those debates take place. I was informed by Nombongo from the NA table that we received 12 minutes as the PA, but within the 12 minutes, 8 of that is for closing and opening, and also 4 minutes is within. So it's just important for us to know how to scaffold our particular debate that we will have. And the other question I asked is, now that we are in the marquee, does that mean that all our members of our party is able to sit? As what it was here, we could only bring 3 for the PA specifically. And then the rotation of the groups, you will notice that there are smaller groups that have a rotation for member statements. So we had our member statement previously. At the moment, I'm not sure on which rotation we are. Is it not possible that we can put the groups there and the specific party for when the member statement is during that session? Because we might think we have a member statement, but then it's already passed or we already had our opportunity, just so that there's no confusion surrounding that. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Tlangwini.
Thank you very much, speakers. Speaker, on the 23rd of October, I noted that the programming whip indicated that the Minister of Trade and Industry won't be in the house yet again. And he have become really a serial offender of not attending to Parliament duties. So really, Speaker, he doesn't even attend committees. So it's becoming problemsome to get the Minister of Trade and Industry to attend to Parliament per se work. And then on the program, Speaker, nowhere in the program I see, and it will seem that we continuously raising the issue, but nowhere in the program speaks to the clauses that the president have sent back of the Bella bill. And I think because somewhere it needs to be programmed that it must come back to the House and the House must adopt or somewhere in terms of the clauses that the president have sent back. If I stand to be corrected, but nowhere it's in the program. There's farewell speeches, but there's nowhere that we are actually speaking to those clauses that the president have sent back that we must amend as Parliament. It's a contentious issue, Speaker, and it needs to be fast-tracked. There are over 5,000 children in Western Cape that don't have schools. And I'm sitting with over 10 of some of those kids that they are English medium. Their first language is English, and their names are and they are closer speaking children. And they are thrown somewhere because just of a name issue, or the governing body feels that they can't study in Durbanville or they can't study in Wynberg. So it's really a contentious issue and it needs to be fast-tracked. So those amendments we really need to bring it and program it as fast as possible on the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, on the program, You remember that we deferred the motion of the EFF on extortion. So it's not appearing on the program. Can we also put it on the program because it was deferred on the basis extortion? Yeah, after consultation with other political parties is not appearing. Can you please put it? Speaker, I just want to, I propose next week, Speaker, because it's long overdue. Speaker, I want to understand, because here on the programming web, the issue of international trips, I don't know how to coin it. It always appear on the program. For instance, the IPU one was appearing on the program and all other international trips by members. So I just want to understand the COP29, which deals with a very important subject of climate change, is not appearing, and the conference is taking place between 11 and 22 November, which is very recent. Is the minister, which is the Minister of DA, going to make a statement? Because we need the position of the country. Correctly so, on the program, on the Thursday, 24 October, we are going to discuss a topic that talks to the disaster response in terms of capacity. So we know very well that the disaster that we are facing in the country is as a result of the climate change. So now, are we going to participate as a country? Is the minister going to make a statement in regards to this important subject or not? If not, can it be clarified why? If the delegation from South Africa is going to be part and parcel to go to this conference in Baku, is the preparation have done? Because we don't want to experience what we have experienced now with our delegations to IPU. It was a hell of a challenge. Our members were told that they are going to leave on Thursday. After that, there was nothing. They didn't know if they are going or not going because of the unpreparedness from the side of the parliament. At some point, we were told that after the long signing of signatures between NCOP and NA, after you have finally got all signatures, of which I don't even understand, there was no money now. The parliament didn't have money to fund this trip. As a result, we keep on asking ourselves, why did we decide as parliament to go and partake in the IPU if our members are going to be subjected to this kind of a traumatic experience? Remember, Speaker, we have families. Once I told my family, I'm going to a trip that is going to take place on such date, which is Thursday, and there's nothing that is coming from parliament, of which my husband is going to ask, is this one dodgy? Because it can't be parliament. You can't be saying to them, no, parliament have not communicated, while I was told that I'm going to go on Thursday. So it means I was planning my own thing. So this experience that have taken place recently, according to this trip to IPU, Speaker, it must never happen again. And we must be clarified why. Why this trip? And then the worst part, we are told that other members were not even processed according to the political parties. Other members, their names were submitted to the international relations. Our members were just called by the international relations to say, you are going to IPU. And my member said, no, but I was not even told, I have not even told my chief whip. So what kind of parliament is that one, Speaker? So can you please clarify this kind of treatment on this thing? Thanks.
Michalakis?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my comment links to what the EFF mentioned just now about the Minister of Trade and Industry. So far as I know, the Deputy Minister has not confirmed his attendance, but my concern is a bit more than that. And that is that I understand that he's not received his delegated powers yet. And I have written to you in this regard, is that when ministers delegate their deputies to come and answer in Parliament or in committees, that it must be on the things that they are actually delegated to speak with authority on. So I do think that that is not going to be fair towards the House if the Deputy Minister has not been delegated delegated any of those powers related to the questions that are being asked for him to come and answer to the House. We want quality questions, and I do think that that is perhaps something we need to take up with the Minister of Trade and Industry himself. Thank you.
Thank you. Program Whip.
Speaker, thanks very much. I think in regard to the 8th of November, that those mini plenaries that are scheduled there, they are virtual. And I think the issue that has also been raised by the Parliamentary Council for the Deputy President about the venue, my understanding, Speaker, arising from the Chief Whips Forum that we held yesterday, where we had a report on the Dome, is that for the rest of this term, when it comes to plenaries, I'm not talking about the mini plenaries, we're going to use the marquee. So I think it's a concern that it's not written down in the program, but my understanding is that we're going to be using the marquee in terms of that report. I think the issue of the multi-party women's caucus was raised in the Chief Whips Forum yesterday. It's difficult for programming to program anything when that committee has not met, has not elected a chair, and doesn't come with programs. So that issue was raised yesterday, that it needs to be actioned, and then I'm sure, and it is a gap that we are not programming those issues. I think in regard to the Chief Whip for the PA, we will be able to engage in terms of the mini plenary and provide the detail, maybe through the table. Also wants to specifically talk to the issues of time, but in regard to those debates, there's a standard formula in regard to the time that's allowed and the number of speakers. So I think possibly the table can clarify that further. And I think the point around member statements actually listing the groups and mentioning the names of the parties that are allocated will, I think, assist as well. And that's something that we can attend to. The whole issue of the Trade and Industry Minister, I think it is a difficult issue, and we can definitely engage, with the Office of the Leader of Government Business. But it is very difficult when a minister is representing our country at BRICS. A deputy minister is involved and I know there are 2 economic clusters, but I think we need a specific engagement to make sure that we do secure the minister. But I think at the same time, we must acknowledge that while we expect accountability directly, we have to also understand that our ministers are representing our country specifically around issues of trade. But I think we need to specifically attend to that. I think I was surprised, Speaker, that Honorable EFF member raised the issue of Bella again under programming, because we were very clear. I know that the TV cameras are, broadcast this session live.
Honorable members, can we please, there are other people who have to use the room.
Yeah,
Can we
okay.
just try and
But-
be
but-
economic with
yeah,
time
but
and answer the questions?
But the point,
Order, honorable members.
the point is,
Order,
the point
honorable
is taken.
members.
The point I'm simply making, Speaker, is that before we got to programming, there was a discussion on this. There was proposals which you as the Speaker are going to take forward.
Wait, honorable
so
members,
there's
I've
no-
asked the programming, we will table the program
Yeah.
to respond. But can we please be in order?
Yeah.
And appreciate that our time for finishing this meeting is already over.
Yeah.
And there are other committees that are going to utilize this room.
And Chair, just to say that once that process is clear, the issue of programming the Bella situation can then follow. But every member here knows that they are able to make statements in this House on any matters that they have got concerns about. Extortion, my understanding is that that is a matter for the political parties to resolve how to deal with the issue of the ad hoc committee proposal. That's an issue that the political parties need to engage on. International trips, I will seek further.
Honorable Majosi is here, will address that.
Yeah. I will seek further advice. I'm sure that if it is a tradition in programming that we just mention the dates of these international visits, that's fine. But from where I'm sitting, I'm not in a position to get into the details of like the serious concerns that the EFF members raised about what happened with the IPU. But I think the request to list, those international engagements, we must put them there. But I think it needs to be dealt with at another level, these issues of what happened and how reports come back. I agree we must program reports from international trips so that what happened in this case must come to Parliament and we can discuss these issues because we can't just send people overseas.
Honorable
Thank you.
Dagmo, I've said on the international one, I'll ask Honorable Majosi to answer specifically as it related to the IPU issue as well as Honorable Klaso. But with respect to whether we program it, we will come back to that as to how we address it.
He loves TV.
The motion, honorable members, order, don't try and talk across each other. If some issues are not responded to by the programming whip, Paso is here has to respond to others. Yes. On Honorable Mkhaliphi. Mr. Klasu?
Thank you,
Mr.
Madam.
Klasu,
Thank you,
can
Madam
respond?
Speaker. Just on the mini plenary of 8 November, that is not for motions. That is for committee reports. So mini plenaries can be for members' motions or party motions or committee reports. So the one for 8 November, that's why you don't have party names there or topics. It's a different type of mini plenary. Also the marquee, every party will have a place there, as Honorable Khojane had asked. And then the time allocation for the motion, Honorable Khojane, it's 12 minutes for your party. So 8 of that is for the sponsor. So the sponsor must decide how to split that 8 minutes. You can use 5 open and 3 to close, but you still have an opportunity. Your party still has an opportunity to participate in the debate. Member statement, my colleagues will talk to you after that in terms of your allocation. That is all, ma'am.
Honorable Majosi?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and good morning to all honorable members. I think I will respond on the issue of Honorable Mkhaliphi that she raised on IPU. We apologize maybe for the late response to members, but we had signed and I had also sent all the names that members of the IPU that should be the delegation that will go to Geneva. And I had expected that members would then be consulted in time and they would know when they should depart to Geneva. But if that did not happen, we apologize for that. But in our office, I'm definitely sure that we had sent everything that we needed to send in time. And also, what will solve our problems, Speaker, is that we have scheduled a meeting for the PGIR. So everything that comes of international relations will come to the PGIR and then will be discussed there so that members of all parties are able to be told in time which delegation will go and which parties will be included in that delegation. So I think with these meetings then going forward, we'll be able to minimize on the concerns and challenges that members had experienced. On the issue of climate change, I'm not sure if Honorable Foley would want to respond to that. We have not received anything as IR as yet. So I do know that there is a conference of climate change and maybe Honorable Foley, because he has been part of that, he can then respond to that issue. But as IR, we have not received any information as yet. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. Just to indicate that in respect of the statement by the minister, we have not received any request. Usually statements in the House, ministers will write to the speaker and request that they make a particular statement. However, if Parliament would like to make a request that maybe the minister must lead a discussion in the House as a result of the upcoming COP29, we will write a letter to the minister to say there is this request from Parliament. That's exactly what Honorable Klaso has responded to say they will deal with that matter because it's not the one that is provided for by the 8th. Honorable Nhlangwini.
Thank you very much, Speaker. You know, Speaker, there's nothing wrong if you don't understand a particular question to say, I'm gonna refer back to it, and then to show some level of arrogancy and attempt to want to insult members. My question was on the one of the amendments that are going, that the president have said, these clauses must go back to Parliament. I'm asking, where are we programming that in this term? Because already we had farewell speeches. So maybe perhaps Mr. Frolik must answer to that because he's in charge of that section of committees. But there's really nothing wrong if you don't know to say, I don't know, instead of showing your arrogancy and your, let me not further insult.
Okay, honorable members, with respect to that matter, once we get the status of the issue, as I indicated next week, it will guide us on how we then deal with those two clauses. Because if there needs to be amendment, those two clauses would have to go to the portfolio committee. And depending on how the portfolio committee works on their program, on how they want to factor those amendments, it will then guide us as to how it comes back on the programming. Honorable members, we've taken note on the issue that Michalakis, you have raised in respect to the delegations. I also want to request Honorable Frolik and the bills and the committee section to look as to which legislation is ready for debate in the House. If none, we will then have to relook at the program where we've provided for legislation so that if there is no legislation, we can look at how we utilize that time. Can I beg members that we close? Another party has been waiting since 10 because this is Honorable Mkhaliphi. What is the urgent issue?
Speaker, please come back about the motion of EFF.
Exactly.
We didn't hear what Klaso was saying.
Okay, what Klaso was saying is that we'll come back to it, but for the 8th, which you were asking for, it's not provided for. So we will come back to you on that one. Can we please close the meeting? Thank you very much. No announcement in terms of the programming committee. The program of Parliament continues as it has been agreed. Thank you. Meeting closed.